So we all know Dell and Alienware have been leading the charge with OLED monitors these past few years, but at CES 2025, they've got two new OLED monitors, one for gaming and one for creators, and these are taking things to a whole new level. Luke here again, great to see you. I'm here today to talk about the latest OLED monitors coming, this time from Dell, but let's be honest, CES itself has become a very big monitor show in general. So you'll definitely want to hit that subscribe button to the channel so we can cover all of the big monitor announcements coming from CES this year. All right, so ahead of CES, I got to check out what Dell is bringing to the table this year, and these really do feel like significant monitors. So let's start with the most unique new monitor, an OLED display that's finally not a gaming monitor, the Dell 32 Plus QD-OLED monitor. This thing is just awesome looking. Definitely my most anticipated monitor to spend more time with. I left my time really impressed by what Dell was able to put together in this overall package. So let's get the basics out of the way first. This is a 31.5-inch 4K quantum dot OLED display with a 120 Hz refresh rate and FreeSync Premium, and it's due out on May 25th. Now, the first thing to say is that the name of this new monitor is part of Dell's massive rebrand, which is ditching sub-brands like the XPS and introducing things like Dell Plus and Dell Pro. I've made a whole video about this, so definitely go check that out. It'll make a lot of this make more sense. But I have been told that the UltraSharp brand in general is staying around. In fact, Dell is announcing two of those UltraSharp monitors in the lineup at CES. But the confusing bit is that Dell 32 Plus, this new product, doesn't technically represent the high end. I'm told that UltraSharp is still the consumer and commercial premium option, despite the fact that this is the first OLED monitor Dell has ever made that wasn't an Alienware gaming display. So, naming weirdness aside, I'm just really excited that we're finally getting OLED monitors that are designed for creatives, because until now there were almost no good options out there for editing HDR video. Either you went with something more geared towards gamers, or you were shelling out $3,500 for the only available OLED option before this, which was the Asus ProArt OLED display. But get this, the Dell 32 Plus OLED is only going to cost $800. For the first time ever, we're going to get affordable HDR certified monitors out in the world. And my hope is that monitors like this make HDR content far easier to produce and result in lots more of it on the internet. I can't be the only one that finds it frustrating that we get smartphone footage on social media feeds in HDR, but a lot of the professionally made videos out there are just in plain old SDR. The lack of monitors like this one is at least part of the equation for why that hasn't happened yet. After all, if you don't have an HDR monitor or laptop to watch it on, what's the point of making the video in HDR? Now, the Dell 32 Plus OLED won't be the only non-gaming OLED monitor shown off at CES this year, which is great news, but it does have a couple of interesting features that really make it stand apart. The first is the audio solution here, which is the first monitor of its kind to have built-in 3D spatial audio tech inside its built-in speakers. The idea, of course, uses a camera to track your head movement to create a virtual soundstage using just those two 5-watt speakers in the actual frame of the monitor. This is the same beamforming technology we've seen in something like the Razer Leviathan soundbars, and the effect works pretty well, though it definitely depends on what the audio source is. The demos they showed were great though, with audio flying by from above or behind you. And if you want to switch to a standard stereo setup for music, or if multiple people are listening, you can do that fairly straightforward in Windows. The other really handy feature this monitor has to do with ports. You get the standard ports in the back, like the 90-watt USB-C port for charging and connecting your laptop, but it also has this handy pop-down module in front with more USB-C ports that are front-facing, which we have seen in other Dell monitors, but this is a great addition. It's so convenient. So yeah, that monitor I am really excited for, but Dell also has a new Alienware OLED that I got to see, the Alienware 27 4K QD-OLED. The previous Alienware 27-inch QD-OLED launched last year at CES, but that one only had a QHD resolution, while the 32-inch model had the 4K resolution. but it was obviously stretched out on a larger panel and in a curved form factor. So the bump up to 4K on this flat 27-inch model is awesome to see here. It really feels like all the holes are getting filled with OLED monitors, making sure there's a model for just about everyone. But this monitor really is all about the sharpness. Dell says that the Alienware 27 4K QD-OLED has a pixel density of 166 pixels per inch, which is the sharpest of any QD-OLED monitor at the time this is coming out. The ability to make this monitor, Dell says, comes from an advanced QD-OLED inkjet manufacturing process. And this is the same technology that Samsung Display announced just a few months ago, but it was positioned more as a cost savings measure. But more efficient manufacturing often means lower prices and a better selection of panels, which I think is exactly what we're seeing here. Meanwhile, it does have a 240 Hz refresh rate, and overall, my impressions, it was just a gorgeous monitor to play on. Just crystal clear. Not a chance that you could even pretend to see a pixel on this. The stand and the base have been completely redesigned too. It's super slick and it matches the new Alienware designs that are being rolled out this year across the new Area 51 gaming laptops and the new Aurora desktop. Now, Dell says they've paid some extra attention to protecting this monitor against burn-in, also in the form of a graphite sheet that's placed between the panel layers that supposedly helps spread the heat and prevent burn-in. Now, we haven't tested these monitors yet, but the Alienware 27 4K QD-OLED goes up to 250 nits in SDR and 1000 nits in peak HDR. Obviously, those numbers and a lot more of this stuff will have to get tested once we get in the samples for both the Dell 32 Plus OLED and the Alienware 27 4K QD-OLED. Now, the Alienware option goes for $899 or $900 and will also be available in March here in the US. And that's it. These are these two new monitors. So which of these are the most exciting to you? Are you excited to finally get to 4K on a 27-inch form factor? Or are you excited about the idea of more creator-focused QD-OLED monitors? I'm excited for both these. Have we reached peak OLED? That's the question. So drop me a comment, leave a like, and stay tuned for tons more CES coverage coming from Digital Trends.